In the year 1118, a small band of knights, just 9 in total, approached King Baldwin II of Jerusalem. They had a singular mission: to protect Christian pilgrims on the treacherous roads to the Holy Land. The king granted them a headquarters on the Temple Mount, the very site of Solomon's Temple. From this sacred ground, they took their name, the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, or as history remembers them, the Knights Templar. For nearly 2 centuries, the Templars were a force unlike any other. They were warrior monks, bound by vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Yet they became one of the most powerful and wealthy organizations in the medieval world. How did a monastic order, sworn to poverty, amass a fortune that would rival kingdoms? The answer lies not just in the spoils of war, but in a revolutionary innovation that would lay the groundwork for modern banking. Imagine you're a nobleman in 12th century France, preparing for a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Carrying a chest full of gold across thousands of miles is a death wish. Bandits, pirates, and treacherous roads make it almost certain you'll be robbed before you even leave Europe. This is where the Templars offered a stroke of genius. You would deposit your gold at a Templar preceptory in Paris. In return, you wouldn't get a heavy bag of coins, but a simple piece of parchment, a letter of credit. This letter, encoded with a complex cipher known only to the order, was your proof of deposit. You could then travel light, with only this document hidden on your person. Upon arriving in the Holy Land, you'd present this letter at the Templar headquarters in Jerusalem. After verifying its authenticity, they would give you the equivalent amount of your deposit in local currency, minus a small administrative fee. This was the world's first international banking system. It was securely efficient and built on one unshakable foundation: trust. Pilgrims, merchants, and even kings trusted the Templars implicitly. They were known for their unyielding discipline, their military prowess, and their devout faith. This trust was their greatest asset, more valuable than any gold in their vaults. They essentially created a system where a promise on paper was as good as gold in hand. The Templars called it faith. Today, we call it fiat. This system of credit and trust allowed the Templars to build a financial empire. They managed estates, ran farms, owned fleets of ships, and issued loans to monarchs across Europe. They became the primary bankers for the Crusades and the treasurers for the French crown. Their network of preceptories spanned the continent, acting as a chain of protobank, all linked by this system of paper notes, backed by the full faith and credit of the order. But as their wealth grew, so did the envy and suspicion of powerful men. King Philip IV of France, deeply in debt to the Templars, saw their power as a threat to his own. He coveted their riches and plotted their downfall. On a single day, Friday the 13th of October, 1307, Philip unleashed his plan. Agents of the king arrested Templars across France, seizing their assets and subjecting them to brutal torture to extract false confessions of heresy and blasphemy. The Pope, Clement V, initially resisted, but under immense pressure from the French king, he eventually dissolved the order in 1312. The Grand Master Jacques de Molay was burned at the stake, famously cursing both King Philip and Pope Clement from the flames. Within a year, both men were dead, fueling legends of a Templar curse that have persisted for centuries. With the stroke of a papal bull, the Knights Templar were officially erased from history. Their vast wealth seemingly vanished overnight. But did it? Or did it just change hands? The system they created, the very idea of a centralized institution issuing notes based on trust, didn't disappear. It was too powerful, too useful. It was simply inherited. And this is where the story takes a fascinating turn, connecting a medieval order of warrior monks to the financial systems we live with today. Who picked up the pieces of the Templars' financial empire? Who continued their innovative banking practices? The answer lies hidden in the intricate web of European history, in the rise of powerful banking families and secretive societies that followed in the Templars' wake. You won't believe the name tied to that answer. The receipt is wilder than you think. The Medici family of Florence, for instance, rose from humble beginnings to become the bankers of Europe and patrons of the Renaissance. They perfected the system of double-entry bookkeeping and established branches across the continent. creating a financial network that mirrored the Templars' own. Did they learn from the Templar model, or did they perhaps inherit some of its secrets, even some of its personnel? The historical record is tantalizingly vague, but the parallels are undeniable. Then consider the rise of Switzerland as a global banking haven. Its famous neutrality and secrecy laws made it the perfect place to store wealth. A modern-day equivalent of a Templar. It's no coincidence that the Swiss flag, a white cross on a red background, is an inverse of the Templar banner. Some historians argue that fleeing Templar knights found refuge in the Swiss Alps, bringing their financial acumen and their treasure with them, laying the foundation for Switzerland's future as a financial powerhouse. But the most direct line might lead us to a different group entirely, one that operates even more in the shadows than the Templars ever did. Think about the core of the Templar system, a centralized authority that controls the flow of credit, an entity whose promises are accepted as payment. Does that sound familiar? It should. It's the very definition of a central bank. Today, institutions like the Federal Reserve in the United States or the European Central Bank hold a power that would make King Philip green with envy. They create money not by mining gold, but by issuing credit, by making entries in a digital ledger. The dollar, the euro, the yen, these are all fiat currencies. Their value derived not from a physical commodity, but from the full faith and credit of the government that issues them. It's the Templar system on a global scale, but with one crucial difference. The Templars' promise was backed by their tangible assets and their holy vows. Today's system is backed by, well, what exactly? The answer is complex, involving government debt, economic stability, and, just like in the 12th century, a massive amount of collective trust. We trust that the dollar in our pocket will be worth $1 tomorrow. We trust that the digital numbers in our bank account represent real purchasing power. This trust is the invisible scaffolding that holds up the entire modern financial world. But when that trust erodes, the entire system can become incredibly fragile. The 2008 financial crisis was a stark reminder of this. When people realized that complex financial instruments, the modern equivalent of the Templars' letters of credit, were not backed by what they thought, panic ensued, and the global economy teetered on the brink of collapse. So, the next time you use a credit card, make a digital payment, or even just hold a dollar bill, remember those 9 knights on the Temple Mount. You're participating in a system they pioneered nearly 1,000 years ago, a system of trust, of promises on paper, of centralized power. The names have changed, the technology has evolved, but the fundamental principle remains the same. The Knights Templar may be long gone, but their financial ghost lives on, haunting the very foundations of our modern world. The legacy of their faith-based currency is the fiat system we live in today, a direct echo of a past that is much closer than we think. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey through history as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. We'd love to have you as part of our community. See you in the next one. Last time, we uncovered how the Knights Templar built history's first global banking network and how their fortune vanished into the shadows. But what if that treasure never disappeared? What if it became the foundation of the modern offshore system, hidden in plain sight, under divine protection? Let's pick up where we left off. To understand how a medieval fortune could transform into today's financial leviathan, we need to look at what the Templars truly invented. It wasn't just gold and silver. It was a system of trust, credit, and secrecy. When a pilgrim deposited his gold in London, he wasn't given a physical receipt for that specific gold. He was given a coded letter of credit, a promise that he could redeem an equivalent value in Jerusalem. The physical gold didn't travel. Only the promise did. This was revolutionary. It decoupled wealth from physical assets, turning it into an abstract, portable concept. Sound familiar? It's the very core of modern banking. When King Philip IV of France moved to seize the Templars' assets on that infamous Friday the 13th, 1307, he was expecting to find vaults overflowing with gold. But he found them mostly empty. The Templars, with their vast intelligence network, saw the end coming. They had time to move their most valuable asset, not the gold, but their system and the ledger of who owned what. The Templar fleet, last seen sailing from La Rochelle, didn't just carry treasure, it carried the blueprint for financial secrecy. So, where did it go? The most compelling theory points to two places: Scotland and, more importantly, Switzerland. Scotland, under Robert de Bruce, was excommunicated by the Pope, making it a safe haven for the excommunicated Templars. They brought their military prowess, famously aiding the Scots at the Battle of Bannockburn. But they also brought their financial acumen. However, the real evolution happened in the mountainous, neutral cantons of Switzerland. For centuries, Switzerland has been a bastion of neutrality and, by extension, banking secrecy. The Swiss ethos of discretion and protecting assets, regardless of their origin, is a direct philosophical descendant of the Templar Code. The Templars operated under the protection of the Pope, making them a sovereign entity beyond the reach of kings. Modern Swiss banks, shielded by national law, offered a similar sanctuary for wealth, beyond the reach of foreign governments. It wasn't about hiding gold in a mountain vault, it was about hiding ownership in a legal vault. The Templar Letter of Credit, a coded document protecting a client's identity, finds its modern echo in the numbered Swiss bank account. It's the same principle. Anonymity is the ultimate shield. This system didn't just stay in Switzerland. It evolved and spread. Think about the world's major offshore financial centers today. The Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, Singapore, Panama. What do they all have in common? They are small, sovereign, or semi-sovereign jurisdictions with robust legal frameworks that prioritize financial privacy over transparency. They are the modern-day Templar preceptories, castles of capital, fortified not by stone walls, but by corporate law. Let's look at the mechanics. The Templars used a complex web of preceptories across Europe to move value in the... Today, we use shell corporations, trusts, and foundations layered across multiple jurisdictions. A company might be registered in Delaware, have its bank account in the Cayman, be administered from Switzerland, and owned by a trust in Panama. Trying to trace the true owner is like trying to follow a ghost through a hall of mirrors. The goal is the same as it was for the Templars: to make wealth untouchable by creditors, tax collectors, or political enemies. The sheer scale of this is staggering. According to economists like Gabriel Zuckman, it's estimated that at least 8% of the world's household financial wealth is held offshore. That's trillions of dollars. Trillions. This isn't just the domain of criminals. It is a system used by multinational corporations to minimize taxes and by wealthy individuals to protect their dynasties. The principles of the Templar system: centralized control, decentralized assets, and absolute secrecy are now operating on a global, digital scale. When the Templars fell, their wealth didn't disappear. It was privatized. The remaining knights, the financial managers, the administrators, they didn't just forget their skills. They took their knowledge and offered it to new clients, kings, merchants, and eventually, the new nobility of capital. The Hospitallers inherited some of the Templars' physical property, but the intellectual property of the system of offshore finance went freelance. It went into the private sector. It became the foundation of a new global elite, one that operates beyond the constraints of national borders. This connection isn't just a historical curiosity, it's a crucial lens through which to view our modern world. When we see headlines about the Panama Papers or the Pandora Papers exposing the hidden wealth of the global elite, we are seeing the direct legacy of the Templar system. The techniques have been refined. The ledgers are now digital, but the core idea is identical. Create a financial reality that is separate from and superior to the laws of any single nation. The Templars answered only to the Pope. Who do the masters of today's offshore universe answer to? Arguably, no one. They operate in a supranational space of their own making, a world where capital is king and sovereignty is for sale. The Templars created a state within a state. The modern offshore system has created a financial world that sits on top of our world of nation-states, influencing it, drawing from it, but not being truly accountable to it. The original Templar order was created with a noble purpose: to protect pilgrims. It became powerful, and that power corrupted it into a financial empire that threatened the kings of Europe. Today's offshore system is also defended with noble-sounding language, asset protection, economic efficiency, financial privacy. But it enables tax avoidance on a massive scale, starves public services of funding, and provides a haven for money from illicit sources. The parallel is chilling. An institution created for protection becomes a source of systemic risk and inequality. So we come back to the beginning. The treasure of the Knights Templar wasn't a hoard of gold that was lost. The treasure was the system itself, and it was never lost. It didn't disappear, it evolved. It adapted, it digitized, and it scaled to a level the original Knights could only have dreamed of. It's the operating system of global wealth, running silently in the background of our civilization. It's hidden in plain sight, protected not by a papal bull, but by a labyrinth of international law and a code of silence. This leads us to a fundamental question. Are we wiser now? Or are we just walking the same path in better suits? Thanks for joining me on this journey into the shadows of history and finance. If you found this exploration fascinating, please hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What other historical mysteries do you think have modern echoes? Let me know. Until next time, stay curious.